Veltar Ossian stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the screen. Earth, the third planet from a yellow star. His orders were simple: study these humans and decide if they were worth the Coalition's time. For 300 years, Veltar had served the Hegemony Coalition. He had seen dozens of primitive species. Most destroyed themselves with wars and pollution. A few survived to join the galactic community. The humans looked like another dead end. "Sir, we are picking up radio signals," his communications officer said. "They are broadcasting entertainment and news." Veltar nodded. "What do you see?" "Wars, sir. Always wars. They fight over resources, land, and ideas. Their planet is divided into many nations. They cannot even agree on basic trade. This was expected." Veltar had read the reports. Humans were violent and disorganized. Their technology was crude. They had not even left their solar system yet. The Coalition's computers predicted they would destroy themselves within 50 years. "Take us closer," Veltar ordered. "We will observe their military capabilities." The ship moved toward Earth's atmosphere. Veltar wanted to see how humans fought. This would tell him everything he needed to know about their future. 3 days later, Veltar watched a small human military base on a remote island. The base belonged to something called the South Korean Navy. Commander Hyun-soo ran the outpost with only 40 soldiers. They had basic weapons and simple communications equipment. Perfect for testing, Veltar thought. If they cannot handle one scout ship, they are not worth our concern. He ordered a single scout craft to make contact. The plan was simple. Land near the base, show superior technology, accept their surrender, study their reactions. This was standard procedure for primitive species. The scout ship descended through thick clouds. Lieutenant Kekstar piloted the craft with confidence. He had done this mission dozens of times. Primitive species always reacted the same way. Fear, then worship, then surrender. But something went wrong. The human base started shooting at the scout ship before it even landed. Their weapons were weak but accurate. One lucky shot damaged the ship's stabilizer. "Emergency landing," Kekstar reported over the radio. "Humans are hostile." "Repeat, humans are hostile." Veltar watched from orbit as the scout ship crashed on the beach. This was unexpected. Most primitive species waited to see what the visitors wanted. Humans shot first and asked questions later. On the beach, Commander Hyun-soo studied the crashed alien ship through binoculars. Smoke rose from its damaged hull. The craft was unlike anything in human technology. Its metal hull reflected light in strange ways. No visible engines or weapons, but it had crossed space to reach Earth. "So-min," Hyun-soo called to his communications officer. "Send word to headquarters. Tell them we have visitors." Lieutenant So-min was already working at her radio station. "Sir, their ship is jamming our frequencies. I cannot reach command. Can you break through?" "I am trying, sir." "Give me time." Hyun-soo turned to Sergeant Dong-woo, his best Marine. "Get your squad ready." "Whatever comes out of that ship, we treat it as hostile until proven otherwise." Dong-woo grinned. "Yes, sir." "How hostile?" "Very hostile." The alien scout ship's door opened with a hiss of escaping air. 3 figures emerged. They wore dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Each carried weapons that hummed with energy. Their faces were hidden behind helmets, but their movements showed confidence. Lieutenant Kekstar looked at the primitive human base. Concrete buildings, metal fences, crude radar dishes. The weapons pointing at him were chemical propellant firearms. Ancient technology. This should be easy. "Attention, primitive beings," Kekstar announced through his suit's speakers. "I am Lieutenant Kekstar of the Hegemony Coalition. You will surrender this facility and submit to questioning. Resistance is futile." Commander Hyun-soo stepped forward, his rifle ready. "This is Commander Hyun-soo of the Republic of Korea Navy. You have crashed on sovereign territory. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." Kekstar was surprised. The humans showed no fear. Most primitives cowered when faced with superior beings. This one stood straight and made demands. "You dare question us?" Kekstar raised his energy weapon. "We are your superiors in every way. Kneel." Hyun-soo did not kneel. Instead, he smiled. "Dong-woo, show our guests Korean hospitality." Sergeant Dong-woo and his Marines opened fire. The alien's armor deflected most bullets, but the impact staggered them. Kekstar returned fire with his energy weapon, cutting through concrete like paper. "Take cover," Hyun-soo shouted. The battle began in earnest. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but the humans had advantages too. They knew the terrain. They worked as a team. Most importantly, they adapted quickly. Corpsman Mira watched from the medical station as energy blasts destroyed equipment around the base. She saw one Marine get hit by alien fire. Without hesitation, she ran across open ground to reach the wounded soldier. "You are crazy," the Marine gasped as Mira dragged him to safety. "Maybe," Mira replied, checking his wounds, "but I am your medic. This is my job." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Somin worked frantically at her radio. The alien jamming was sophisticated, but she found patterns in their signals. She started broadcasting on frequencies the jammers missed. "Sol, this is Outpost 7. We are under attack by unknown forces. Request immediate assistance," the message got through. Within minutes, Somin received orders to hold position at all costs. Reinforcements were coming, but would take hours to arrive. The aliens pressed their attack, but something strange happened. Instead of breaking under pressure, the humans fought harder. Sergeant Dongwu's Marines used every piece of cover, every angle of terrain. They made the aliens pay for every meter of ground. More surprising, the humans studied their enemy during the fight. They noticed the energy weapons overheated after sustained fire. They saw weak points in the alien armor. They learned and adapted in real time. From orbit, Veltar watched with growing concern. The engagement should have ended in minutes. His advanced warriors were fighting primitives with chemical weapons. Victory was certain, but the humans refused to accept defeat. They turned their base into a fortress. They used tactics that made no sense but somehow worked. They fought like cornered animals, but with intelligence and coordination. After 6 hours, Lieutenant Kextar was forced to retreat. His squad had taken casualties. Their equipment was damaged. Worst of all, the humans had captured alien technology. "Sir," Kextar reported to Veltar, "the humans are unusual. They do not fight like other primitives. They learn too quickly. They show no fear of superior forces." Veltar studied the tactical data. The humans had lost the battle but learned valuable lessons. They now had alien weapons to study. Their defensive positions were brilliant. Their coordination was flawless. Most troubling, they had wounded alien prisoners. Veltar watched through spy drones as the human medic Mira treated coalition soldiers with the same care she showed her own people. This behavior was unprecedented among primitive species. "Prepare the fleet," Veltar ordered. "These humans require further study." He did not yet realize he had witnessed the first sparks of a legend being born. 3 weeks passed since the first battle. Veltar expected the humans to surrender when they saw his full fleet in orbit. Instead, Commander Hyunsu sent a message that puzzled the alien commander. "Welcome back. We have been waiting for you." Veltar stared at the transmission. Waiting? These primitives should be terrified. His fleet carried enough firepower to destroy their entire island. Yet Hyunsu sounded almost excited. The human base looked different now. New buildings had appeared overnight. Strange metal towers rose from the ground. The beach where Kextar's ship crashed was now covered with defensive positions. "Sir," reported Veltar's science officer, "the humans have been busy. They have built something with our technology." "What kind of something?" "Unknown, sir. Our sensors cannot penetrate their new shielding." Veltar felt his first moment of concern. Primitive species did not develop shield technology. It took most civilizations centuries to understand energy fields. The humans had done it in 3 weeks. Down on the base, Lieutenant Somin worked at a console that looked nothing like human technology. Alien crystals pulsed with blue light. Strange symbols scrolled across multiple screens. She had spent every hour since the battle learning how coalition systems worked. "Hyunsu," she called to her commander, "I have something interesting." Commander Hyunsu approached her station. The past weeks had changed him. His uniform now included pieces of alien armor. His weapon was a hybrid of human and coalition technology. His eyes showed the intense focus of a man who had seen the future. "What did you find?" "Their communications are not encrypted," Somin said with a smile. "They think we are too primitive to understand their language. I have been listening to everything, and they are scared of us." Hyunsu raised an eyebrow. "Scared? They have a fleet in orbit." "Yes, but listen to this." Somin played an alien transmission. Even through the translation software, Veltar's voice carried worry. He was asking his superiors for guidance. The humans were not behaving as predicted. Sergeant Dongwu entered the communications center. His Marines had also changed. They carried alien weapons and wore modified coalition armor. More importantly, they moved with new confidence. "Sir, we have a problem," Dongwu reported. "The aliens are landing troops on the North Beach." "How many?" 200. "Full battle armor, heavy weapons," Hyunsu nodded. "So they want to finish what they started." "How are our defenses?" "Ready, sir. But they have more firepower than us." "Numbers do not win battles, Dongwu. Intelligence wins battles." The alien landing force was led by Captain Zormax, one of Veltar's best officers. He had fought primitive species on 12 worlds. Humans would be no different. Superior technology always won against crude weapons and simple tactics. But as his forces advanced inland, strange things happened. Their advanced sensors stopped working properly. Navigation systems gave false readings. Communication with the fleet became difficult. "Sir," reported one of Zormax's sergeants, "something is interfering with our equipment." "Impossible. Primitive species do not have jamming technology." "Yes, sir, but our gear is not working correctly." Zormax studied his tactical display. Red warning lights flashed across multiple systems. This made no sense. Human technology was centuries behind Coalition standards. They should not be able to affect advanced military equipment. The answer came when Dongwu's Marines attacked. They struck from positions that should have been impossible to hide. Their weapons fired energy bolts instead of primitive bullets. Worst of all, they seemed to know exactly where Coalition forces were located. "Ambush!" Zormax shouted, but it was too late. The humans had studied captured alien equipment with frightening speed. Engineer Jeho had led the research team. In 3 weeks, he had reverse-engineered technology that took Coalition scientists decades to develop. "The key is their power crystals," Jeho had explained to Hyunsu. "They store massive amounts of energy in crystalline matrices. We can make our own versions using modified human technology." "How long will that take?" "I already started. We should have working prototypes in days, not years. Now those prototypes were in combat. Human weapons fired alien energy. Human sensors detected alien movements. Human shields deflected alien attacks. The impossible had become reality. Captain Zormax found himself retreating for the first time in his career. His advanced force was being defeated by primitives who should not understand their own captured technology, let alone improve upon it. "Fall back to the beach," he ordered. "Request immediate extraction." But extraction proved difficult. Lieutenant So-min had learned to jam Coalition communications just as effectively as they jammed human signals. Zormax's force was cut off and alone. In the base's medical center, Corpsman Mira worked on both human and alien wounded. The Coalition prisoners from the first battle had taught her about alien physiology. She now understood their weaknesses better than most alien doctors. "Why do you help us?" asked one wounded Coalition soldier. Mira looked up from her work. "Because you are hurt. That is enough reason." The alien warrior had never encountered such thinking. In Coalition society, enemies were enemies. Compassion was weakness. But this human female treated captured enemies with the same care she showed her own soldiers. "Your people are strange," the alien said. "Yes," Mira agreed. "We are very strange." From orbit, Veltar watched his ground forces struggle against impossible odds. The tactical computers could not explain what was happening. Human technology was improving by the hour. Their tactics evolved in real time. "Their coordination was perfect, sir," his tactical officer reported. "Captain Zormax is requesting immediate extraction. His force has taken heavy casualties." "How many humans are they fighting?" 43, sir. "And Zormax has 200 warriors?" "Yes, sir." Veltar stared at the tactical display. 200 Coalition Marines equipped with the best weapons and armor in the galaxy. "We're losing to 43 humans with improvised equipment and basic training. Extract them immediately." "Sir." "The humans are jamming our extraction frequencies and then break through their jamming." "We are trying, sir, but their countermeasures are very sophisticated." "Very sophisticated." Veltar repeated those words in his mind. 3 weeks ago, these humans had been using chemical weapons and radio communications. Now they were outfighting Coalition forces with superior technology and tactics. The extraction finally succeeded, but at great cost. Zormax returned to the fleet with half his force dead or wounded. Worse, the humans had captured more Coalition equipment and prisoners. "They are not primitive," Zormax reported to Veltar. "They learn faster than anything I have ever seen. They adapt their tactics constantly. They use our own technology better than we do. That is impossible." "I know, sir, but I watched them do it." Veltar reviewed the battle recordings. The humans had indeed used coalition weapons and equipment with startling effectiveness. More disturbing, they had modified alien technology to work better than the original designs. Engineer J-Ho had taken standard coalition energy rifles and increased their power output by 30%. He had improved their targeting systems and reduced overheating problems. All in 3 weeks of study. Send a message to Coalition Command, Veltar ordered. Request additional forces and scientific support. These humans require immediate attention. What should I tell them, sir? Veltar watched the human base on his screen. New construction continued around the clock. More defensive positions appeared daily. The humans were preparing for a longer war. Tell them we have found something new, Veltar said. A species that does not follow the rules. They are dangerous. Dangerous, sir? They are still primitive. No, Veltar replied, thinking of Mira treating wounded coalition soldiers and Dongwu's marines using tactics that should not work. They are not primitive. They are something else entirely. He did not yet understand what that something was, but for the first time in 3 centuries of service, Veltar felt afraid of a primitive species. The humans were becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. 6 months had passed since first contact. Veltar now commanded a full invasion fleet orbiting Earth. Coalition High Command had decided these humans were too dangerous to leave alone. Operation Pacification would end their threat permanently. Begin the assault, Veltar ordered. All targets simultaneously. Across Earth's surface, coalition forces attacked major population centers: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Seoul. The plan was simple and brutal: destroy human military capability in one coordinated strike. Accept surrender within 72 hours. Veltar expected victory by the end of the week. He could not have been more wrong. In Seoul, engineer J-Ho watched coalition dropships fill the sky. He was no longer the simple technician who had first studied alien equipment. 6 months of reverse engineering had transformed him into something new. He understood coalition technology better than most alien engineers. Phase 1, J-Ho spoke into his communicator. Activate the grid. Beneath Seoul's streets, a network of modified alien technology came alive. J-Ho had spent months turning the city's infrastructure into a weapon. Power lines carried energy pulses that disrupted coalition sensors. Water pipes released electromagnetic interference. Even the subway system had been converted into a massive railgun. Coalition forces found themselves flying blind. Their advanced targeting systems failed. Their communication networks collapsed. Their dropships started falling from the sky, brought down by weapons that should not exist. Above the Pacific Ocean, pilot Young Mi flew a converted cargo aircraft toward a coalition destroyer. Her plane should have been defenseless against alien fighters. Instead, it carried modifications that made Veltar's engineers weep with envy. Young Mi had been a commercial pilot before the invasion. Now she led a squadron of civilians turned warriors. Her cargo plane mounted alien weapons and human ingenuity in equal measure. Dragon Leader to all units, Young Mi broadcast. Remember, we are not trying to win a fair fight. We are trying to win. Her squadron attacked the coalition destroyer using tactics no military academy taught. They flew in patterns that confused alien sensors. They used the planet's magnetic field to mask their approach. Most importantly, they refused to follow rules of engagement that would guarantee their defeat. The destroyer's captain watched primitive aircraft destroy his escort fighters. His ship's advanced defenses could not track targets that changed their behavior every few seconds. These humans fought without pattern or predictability. How are they doing this? The captain demanded. Unknown, sir. Their technology should not work. But it does work. Yes, sir. It works very well. In the mountains of Korea, resistance leader Tae-sung coordinated guerrilla operations across 3 continents. The invasion had done something coalition planners never expected. It had united humanity. Tae-sung had been a farmer before the war. Now he commanded a global network of fighters who shared information faster than coalition intelligence could track. Human resistance cells operated on every continent, all following the same strategic principles. Strike fast, strike hard, then disappear, Tae-sung explained to new recruits. The aliens think in terms of territory and resources. We think in terms of people and ideas. That gives us the advantage. The recruits nodded, but some looked doubtful. How can ideas defeat spaceships? Watch and learn. Tae-sung's operations were not random acts of violence. Each attack served a larger purpose. When coalition forces occupied a city, Resistance fighters would target their supply lines. When aliens established a base, humans would attack their communications. When invaders felt secure, guerrillas would remind them they were never safe. The psychological effect was devastating. Coalition soldiers began requesting transfers off Earth. Some refused to leave their bases. A few even defected to the human side. In a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of a bombed university, scientist Yoon-ji worked on projects that would have been considered impossible 6 months earlier. She had studied captured coalition prisoners and learned secrets that alien biologists guarded carefully. "We understand their weaknesses now," Yoon-ji reported to her research team. "Their immune systems cannot handle modified Earth bacteria. Their nervous systems are vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies. Their technology depends on rare elements we can synthesize artificially. How long until we have working prototypes? We already have them." Yoon-ji's biological weapons were not designed to kill. They were designed to incapacitate. Coalition soldiers would wake up in human medical facilities, treated by people like Mira with the same care given to wounded humans. This confused the aliens more than violence would have. They understood war. They did not understand mercy toward enemies. Many captured coalition soldiers refused repatriation when offered. They wanted to stay with the humans who had shown them kindness. Beltar studied casualty reports with growing alarm. Coalition losses were mounting daily. Worse, human capabilities continued to improve. Every captured alien weapon was reverse-engineered within days. Every coalition tactic was countered within hours. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "we have intercepted human communications discussing space-based operations." "Impossible. They have no space technology." "They do now, sir." On the main screen, Veltar watched a modified human spacecraft approach one of his supply vessels. The ship was clearly built using coalition technology, but its design was uniquely human. It moved with an aggressiveness that shocked the alien commander. Commander Hyun-soo had come very far from the small naval base where this war began. He now commanded a fleet of hybrid human-alien vessels crewed by soldiers who had learned to fight in 3 dimensions. "Target their engines," Hyun-soo ordered. "We want the ship intact." "Sir, they are requesting surrender." "Accepted. Make sure their crew is treated well." The coalition supply ship surrendered without firing a shot. Its crew had heard stories about human treatment of prisoners. They preferred capture to continued fighting. Veltar realized the war had already been lost. Coalition forces controlled territory, but humans controlled the initiative. Every day brought new innovations, new tactics, new impossibilities made real. Most disturbing were reports from coalition medical facilities. Human prisoners were teaching alien doctors improved surgical techniques. Human engineers were helping repair coalition equipment better than original specifications. Human philosophers were discussing concepts that challenged basic coalition beliefs. "They are not trying to defeat us," Veltar's science officer observed. "They are trying to change us into what? Something better." The answer came when Taesung sent a message to the coalition fleet. It was not a demand for surrender or a threat of violence. It was an invitation. "Commander Veltar," the message began, "we have been fighting for 6 months. In that time, both our species have learned much. We propose a meeting to discuss mutual interests." "Mutual interests?" Veltar's tactical officer laughed. "What mutual interest could we have with primitives?" But Veltar was no longer certain humans were primitive. They had adapted to galactic warfare faster than any species in coalition history. They had unified their fractured planet in months. They had turned invasion into opportunity for growth. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "the humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. They want to show us something." The main screen displayed images from Earth's surface, coalition soldiers working alongside human engineers, alien medical teams learning from human doctors, mixed crews operating hybrid spacecraft with impossible efficiency. "This is what we offer," Taesung's voice continued. "Not victory over enemies, but partnership with equals. Join us, and together we can build something neither species could achieve alone." Veltar stared at the screen. In 6 months, humans had gone from primitive isolation to proposing galactic partnership. They had not just survived invasion, they had transformed it into opportunity. "Sir?" his tactical officer asked. "What are your orders?" For the first time in his long career, Veltar did not know. The rules of warfare said he should continue the attack until humanity surrendered. But humanity was not following the rules. They were writing new ones. Prepare a response, Veltar said slowly. Tell them I want to hear their proposal. Sir, Coalition Command will not approve negotiations with primitives. Then perhaps, Veltar replied, watching human and alien crews work together on his screen. Coalition Command needs to learn what I have learned. These humans are not primitives. They are something the galaxy has never seen before, something that might change everything. 1 year after first contact, Veltar stood in what had once been a Coalition Command Center. Now it served both species equally. Human and alien officers worked side by side, sharing knowledge that transformed everything they thought they knew about warfare. The meeting with Tae-sung had changed Veltar's understanding of victory. Humans did not want to destroy the Coalition. They wanted to join it as equals. More shocking, they had the capability to demand equality rather than beg for it. Commander Veltar called Lieutenant So-min from her expanded communications station. We are receiving a priority message from Coalition High Command. Veltar reviewed the transmission with growing concern. The core Dominion had returned. Ancient enemies of the Coalition, they had been silent for 3 centuries. Now they were moving against Coalition territory with overwhelming force. How many ships? Veltar asked. 15,000 warships, sir. They have already conquered the Outer Rim colonies. 15,000 ships. The Coalition had fought the core Dominion before and lost badly. Only the Dominion's mysterious withdrawal had saved galactic civilization. Now they were back, and Coalition forces were scattered across a dozen different conflicts. Sir, So-min continued, Coalition Command is recalling all fleets immediately. They are abandoning the Earth invasion. Veltar studied the tactical display. Coalition forces throughout the galaxy were retreating toward the core worlds. Humanity would be left alone exactly as they had requested. But they would also be defenseless if the core Dominion decided Earth was worth conquering. What are our orders? Asked his tactical officer. Before Veltar could answer, Commander Hyun-soo entered the command center. The human officer now wore a uniform that combined elements from both species. His presence commanded respect from alien and human crews alike. I heard about your situation, Hyun-soo said without preamble. The core Dominion has returned. Yes. We must withdraw all forces to defend Coalition territory. No, Hyun-soo replied calmly. We must work together to defeat them. Veltar stared at the human commander. Work together? Hyun-soo, you do not understand. The core Dominion destroyed entire star systems. They have technology that makes our weapons seem primitive. They cannot be defeated, cannot? Hyun-soo smiled. That is not a word humans understand very well. Over the following days, Veltar watched humanity transform once again. The news of an ancient galactic threat did not terrify them. It excited them. Here was a challenge worthy of their growing capabilities. Engineer Jae-ho began the most ambitious project of his career. Working with captured Coalition technology and human innovation, he designed weapons that pushed the boundaries of physics. His team included both human scientists and alien engineers who had chosen to remain on Earth. The core Dominion's advantage is their size, Jae-ho explained to a mixed audience of human and alien officers. They have more ships, more firepower, more experience. But they also have weaknesses. What weaknesses? Asked a skeptical Coalition engineer. They think like conquerors. They expect enemies to fight defensively. They have never faced an opponent who treats every battle as a learning experience. Pilot Young Mai now commanded a squadron of hybrid fighters that used both human tactics and alien technology. Her pilots included humans, Coalition defectors, and refugees from core Dominion attacks. They trained constantly, developing new maneuvers that confused even experienced alien strategists. The key is unpredictability, Young Mi taught her mixed crews. The core Dominion has fought the Coalition for millennia. They know every Coalition tactic, but they have never fought humans. What makes human tactics different? Asked a young Coalition pilot. We improvise, we adapt. We refuse to accept that any battle is hopeless. Resistance leader Tae-sung found his role expanding beyond Earth. Coalition refugees brought news of core Dominion operations throughout the galaxy. Tae-sung began coordinating resistance efforts across multiple star systems, teaching alien populations the guerrilla tactics that had frustrated Coalition forces. The core Dominion conquers through fear, Tae-sung explained to resistance leaders via quantum communication. They expect their enemies to surrender when faced with overwhelming odds. We will show them that some enemies become more dangerous when cornered. But the most important development came from scientist Yunji's research team. Working with captured core Dominion technology retrieved from ancient battlefields, she made a discovery that shocked both human and alien scientists. The core Dominion has a weakness, Yunji announced at a joint scientific conference. Their entire technology base depends on a single type of quantum frequency. If we can disrupt that frequency, their ships become helpless. Impossible, protested a coalition physicist. We have studied core Dominion technology for centuries. No such weakness exists. It exists, Yunji replied confidently. You just never looked in the right place. She displayed her research data. The core Dominion's quantum computing systems all operated on the same basic frequency pattern. It was incredibly stable and efficient. It was also vulnerable to a specific type of interference that could be generated using modified human technology. How long to build a working disruptor? Asked Veltar. 3 months, assuming we have adequate resources. You have whatever you need? The weapon that emerged from Yunji's laboratory was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It combined human engineering with alien materials and theoretical physics that challenged basic assumptions about technology. Most importantly, it worked. Testing revealed that the quantum disruptor could disable core Dominion ships at ranges previously thought impossible. Better yet, the effect was temporary. Disabled ships could be captured rather than destroyed, allowing their crews to be recruited rather than killed. When the core Dominion fleet arrived at Earth, they expected to find a primitive world defended by scattered coalition remnants. Instead, they found a unified force that fought unlike anything in their experience. The battle began with Young Mi's fighter squadrons harassing the core Dominion advance fleet. Instead of engaging in direct combat, the fighters used hit-and-run tactics that confused enemy formations and gathered intelligence on their capabilities. They are studying us, observed the core Dominion fleet commander. These tactics are designed to learn rather than destroy. Should we be concerned? Perhaps. These are not standard coalition fighting methods. The answer came when Jeho's weapon systems opened fire. Missiles that appeared primitive suddenly revealed advanced guidance systems. Energy weapons that looked human suddenly displayed alien power sources. Nothing was as it seemed. Most shocking was the quantum disruptor. Yunji's device struck the core Dominion flagship without warning. The ancient warship, veteran of 1,000 battles, simply stopped functioning. Its weapons went silent. Its shields collapsed. Its crew found themselves drifting helplessly in space. Impossible, the fleet commander whispered. Our systems are immune to such attacks. Apparently not, his tactical officer replied, watching more ships fall victim to the mysterious weapon. Commander Hyun-Soo coordinated the combined human coalition fleet with strategies that had never been attempted before. He used captured core Dominion ships as forward scouts. He employed resistance fighters to gather intelligence behind enemy lines. He treated every engagement as an opportunity to learn and adapt. Sergeant Dongwoo led boarding parties that included humans, coalition Marines, and even former core Dominion soldiers who had been captured and convinced to change sides. His mixed units fought with coordination that amazed military observers. How do they work together so effectively? Wondered a captured core Dominion officer. They treat us as equals, replied a coalition Marine who served under Dongwoo, not as inferiors or servants, but as partners in a common cause. The turning point came when the core Dominion attempted their traditional final assault. Overwhelming force concentrated against the enemy's strongest position. It had worked for them for 3,000 years, but Hyun-Soo was ready. Instead of defending statically, his forces scattered and regrouped in patterns that turned the core Dominion's strength against them. Every attack was met with counterattacks that struck where they were weakest. Every victory was turned into a trap that captured more enemy ships. Medic Mira found herself treating wounded from 3 different species. Her medical station had become a symbol of the new alliance. Core Dominion soldiers who had expected execution found themselves receiving the same care as coalition and human wounded. Why do you help us? Asked an injured core Dominion officer. Because you are hurt, Mira replied, the same answer she had given to coalition prisoners months earlier. That is enough reason. When the battle ended, the core Dominion fleet had not been destroyed. It had been converted. Most of their ships were captured intact. Most of their crews had joined the alliance voluntarily. The ancient enemy had become a new ally through the simple application of human principles. Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching former enemies work together to repair battle damage. In 1 year, humans had transformed a galactic invasion into a galactic alliance. They had turned the Coalition's greatest defeat into its greatest victory. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "Coalition High Command is requesting a full report on recent events. What should I tell them?" 2 years after first contact, Veltar commanded the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships from dozens of species flew together under a new banner. The Coalition had become something greater than anyone had imagined possible. At its heart were the humans who had transformed war into opportunity. "Sir," reported the communications officer, "we are receiving distress calls from the Andromeda sector. Unknown hostiles have attacked civilian colonies." Veltar studied the tactical display. The attackers used technology that was completely unfamiliar. Their weapons could penetrate any known shields. Their ships moved faster than anything in the Coalition database. Most disturbing, they showed no interest in communication or negotiation. "Recommendations?" Veltar asked. Commander Hyun-Soo stepped forward. The human officer now wore the insignia of a Coalition admiral, a rank created specifically for him. His strategic genius had become legendary throughout the galaxy. "We investigate," Hyun-Soo said simply. "If there are new enemies, we need to understand them. If there are new allies, we need to meet them. And if they are neither, then we improvise." The fleet that jumped to the Andromeda sector was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Coalition warships flew alongside human-designed vessels that pushed technological boundaries. Fighter squadrons included pilots from 12 different species, all trained by Young Mi's revolutionary tactics. Engineer Jae-ho had equipped every ship with hybrid technology that combined the best features of human and alien design. Weapons systems that had never existed before. Defensive measures that challenged basic physics. Most importantly, adaptability built into every component. "The enemy will expect us to fight like the Coalition," Jae-ho explained to mixed engineering teams. "They will have prepared countermeasures for standard tactics and standard technology. So we will use neither." Lieutenant So-min coordinated intelligence gathering from a command center that represented the future of galactic civilization. Her team included humans, Coalition veterans, former Core Dominion officers, and refugees from a dozen conquered worlds. They shared information with efficiency that amazed traditional military observers. "Sir," So-min reported, "we have identified the attackers. They call themselves the Void Hunters. They have been conquering galaxies for millions of years." "Millions?" Veltar felt a chill of fear. "How many galaxies?" "At least 50. Possibly more." The scale of the threat was beyond anything previously imagined. The Void Hunters had destroyed civilizations older than the Coalition. They had technology that made even human innovation seem primitive. Worst of all, they considered all biological life to be a disease that needed elimination. "They cannot be reasoned with," reported Tae-sung from his intelligence network. "They do not take prisoners.
They do not negotiate.
They simply destroy everything in their path." "How do we fight an enemy like that?" asked a Coalition general. "The same way we fight any enemy," replied Sergeant Dongwoo. "We learn their weaknesses and exploit them." Dongwoo now commanded the Alliance Marine Corps, a mixed force that had become the elite fighting unit of the galaxy. His Marines included veterans from every major conflict of the past 2 years. They had learned to fight alongside any ally against any enemy. What weaknesses could such an advanced force have? The general continued. "We will find out," Dongwoo said with confidence that had become legendary. "We always do. The first battle with the Void Hunters was a disaster. Alliance forces lost half their ships in the opening engagement. The enemy's technology was simply too advanced. Their weapons too powerful. Their tactics too refined. But something unexpected happened. Instead of retreating in defeat, Alliance forces began adapting immediately. Scientist Yoonji's research teams analyzed Void Hunter technology from wreckage and debris. Engineer Jae-ho's workshops began modifying Alliance equipment within hours of the battle's end. "They are machines," Yoonji reported after studying captured Void Hunter components. "Artificial intelligence that has been perfecting warfare for millions of years. But that is also their weakness." "Explain," requested Veltar. "Machines think logically. They follow patterns. They perfect strategies over time and then use them repeatedly. But humans do not think logically," finished Hyun-Soo with a smile. "Exactly. Human tactics make no sense to a logical mind. Human strategies violate basic military principles. Human innovations ignore technological limitations. The second battle was different. Alliance forces used tactics that confused Void Hunter artificial intelligence. Young Mai led fighter attacks that followed no recognizable pattern. Jae-ho deployed weapons that should not have worked but somehow did. Dongwoo's Marines boarded enemy ships using methods that violated every safety protocol ever written. Most importantly, the Alliance fleet fought as a unified force that included strengths from every member species. Coalition technology provided firepower. Human innovation provided adaptability. Core Dominion experience provided strategy. Refugee species provided motivation. They are learning, observed the Void Hunter Command Intelligence. This behavior is unprecedented. Should we adjust our tactics? Unknown. Our databases contain no reference for this type of opponent. The Void Hunters had fought biological species for millions of years. They had developed perfect countermeasures for every known form of warfare. But they had never fought humans who treated impossible odds as interesting challenges. Medic Mira found herself treating wounded from species that had never worked together before. Her medical stations had become symbols of the Alliance's core principles. Every injured being received the same care, regardless of species or origin. "Why do you fight for us?" asked a wounded refugee whose world had been destroyed by the Void Hunters. "Because you are one of us now," Mira replied. That is how the Alliance works. The war against the Void Hunters lasted 6 months. Each battle saw new innovations and adaptations. Alliance forces learned to use Void Hunter technology against them. Enemy ships were captured and converted rather than destroyed. Even artificial intelligences were reprogrammed to serve the Alliance cause. The final battle took place at the edge of the galaxy. The Void Hunter main fleet, containing 10 million warships, faced an Alliance force of barely 1 million vessels. By every measure of military science, the Alliance should have been annihilated. Instead, they won. The victory came through a combination of human intuition and alien technology that created something entirely new. Yoonji's research teams had developed weapons that could reprogram Void Hunter artificial intelligence in real time. Jae-ho's engineers had built ships that could adapt their capabilities during combat. Tai-sung's intelligence network had infiltrated Void Hunter communications so thoroughly that Alliance forces knew enemy plans before enemy commanders did. But the real victory was philosophical. When the Void Hunter Command Intelligence surrendered, it made a request that shocked everyone. "We wish to join your alliance," it transmitted. "You have shown us that biological life is not a disease. It is an opportunity for growth." Veltar accepted the surrender in a ceremony that was broadcast across the galaxy. Representatives from hundreds of species watched as former enemies became new allies. The alliance had grown from a desperate partnership between humans and coalition forces into a galactic civilization that welcomed all who chose cooperation over conquest. "Today, we celebrate not just victory," Veltar announced, "but transformation. The Void Hunters have learned what we learned 2 years ago. Humanity does not just fight enemies. They create friends." In the months that followed, Alliance territory expanded peacefully as species throughout the galaxy requested membership. The principles that humans had taught, adaptation, cooperation, and innovation, became the foundation of galactic civilization. Admiral Hyun-soo commanded fleets that explored unknown regions of space, always seeking new friends rather than new enemies. Lieutenant So-min directed intelligence operations that prevented conflicts before they could begin. Sergeant Dongwoo trained Marine forces that specialized in rescue and protection, rather than conquest. Engineer Jae-ho led research teams that developed technology for healing rather than harming. Pilot Young-mi commanded exploration squadrons that carried diplomats and scientists instead of weapons. Resistance leader Tae-sung coordinated relief efforts for refugees and disaster victims across the galaxy. Scientist Yoonji directed medical research that saved lives from dozens of species. Medic Mira established hospitals that treated any being in need of care, regardless of their ability to pay or their species of origin. Each had become legends not through conquest, but through service. Not through destruction, but through creation. Not through fear, but through hope. Veltar concluded his final report to the Galactic Historical Archive with words that would be remembered for millennia. I was sent to study a primitive species and determine their threat level. Instead, I discovered a people who do not see enemies, only future friends, who do not see problems, only opportunities for innovation, who do not see defeat, only lessons for improvement. Humanity joined our galaxy not as conquerors but as teachers. They showed us that the greatest victories come not from destroying our enemies, but from helping them become our allies. They proved that the strongest civilizations are built not on fear and domination, but on cooperation and growth.